Hey everybody, welcome back to No Jumper News. It's Adam22 here with your man AD. Let's get right into the stories. So, over the weekend, multiple reports have circulated regarding Travis Scott and the effects of the tragic events that occurred at this year's Astroworld Festival in Houston. Firstly, Travis Scott has been effectively removed from the lineup of performances for the 2022 Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. In November, an online petition called on Coachella organizers Golden Voice to remove Travis from music festivals after Houston's events. The petition has already gained over 60,000 signatures. An insider told Variety that Travis Scott's agent, Kara Lewis of the Kara Lewis Group, is trying to keep the rapper in the festival, which would have marked Travis's return to the stage after Astroworld. Sources say that the festival informed Travis's longtime agent of his intent to pull Travis from the bill, which he was to headline alongside Rage Against the Machine. It would also pay a kill fee for the cancellation, generally 25%. On Friday, Anheuser-Busch also announced that it would be putting Travis Scott's Cacti Hard Seltzer on hold. After careful evaluation, we have decided to stop all production and brand development of the Cacti Agave Spiked Seltzer. We believe brand fans will understand and respect this decision, said a spokesperson in a statement shared in a report on Ad Age. In the same report, the brand declined to comment whether the decision was made in response to Astroworld. Travis owns the Cacti brand, and a spokesperson for the brand clarified that Cacti asked AB InBev to inform their wholesalers that there will not be a product at this time. As Cacti's production has been paused, that's only one of several brand partnerships that have ended or been put on hold post-Astroworld. Nike announced on November 15th that it will postpone the launch of the Air Max 1 Cactus Jacked out of respect for everyone impacted by the tragic events of the Astroworld Festival. Fortnite has also halted its Travis Scott emote just days after the tragedy. And finally, film and production company Mega64 tweeted that they terminated their upcoming collaboration with the rapper several months after sharing the project's announcement to Twitter. Hundreds of lawsuits have been filed after the Astroworld tragedy, naming Travis Scott, guest performer Drake, promoter Live Nation, and other individuals affiliated with NRG Park and Scoremore Holdings as defendants. As we reported last week, Travis has expressed remorse over the tragedy, stating earlier this week during an interview with Charlamagne the God that he was unaware that serious injuries had occurred after his performance. Despite the uncertainty of several brand deals, Travis Scott announced a partnership with BetterHelp, an online therapy company, to provide 1 month of therapy to those affected by the tragedies. BetterHelp has clarified on their site that the initiative is not sponsorship or paid endorsement of any kind and has previously provided free support in the wake of other tragedies. So I have to be the first one to admit that Travis Scott's career appears to be far more fucked than I really assumed that it was going to be. I still feel like he's basically like dealing with a ton of repercussions that are kind of outsized to what his role in this whole thing might have been. That being said, you just can't seem to run away from the fact that 10 people died and that brands do not want to be associated with those 10 people who died in any way. They don't want to have their brand associated with it, which I guess makes sense. Like, you can't really blame all these companies for wanting to take a step back. I guess if anything, it says a lot about exactly how big his celebrity is, that a lot of these companies like Nike, they're not saying we're not working with Travis Scott anymore. They're saying it's on hold, which is probably better for his image in the long run. But you wonder how much worse this is going to get, because it doesn't seem like anybody's trying to give the guy a break.
But it's fucked up, though, because it's like the companies are trying to play this shit safe, because if he gets cleared, they're like, oh, production is back on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, when somebody is going through something, I would want the companies to be like, I support you, but I understand it's corporate America. It's fucked up, though, because right now they're trying to make it seem like he's the sole person and the sole reason why the 10 people tragically died. I don't think that shit's fair. I think everybody had a part to play in that shit when it comes down to that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, this is a fucked up situation. They trying to destroy this man right now.
I just can't believe it. I've just been watching this guy effortlessly. Well, I guess not effortlessly. He's probably put in a lot of effort, but he's really built just like an incredible name for himself over all those years, and then to see it just evaporate into thin air where, you know, I mean, honestly, when I watched that Charlamagne interview with him, he looked like a ghost. He looked like a really like sick version of himself. Like he wasn't himself anymore. He didn't have that same confidence and enthusiasm. You know what would really fuck shit up is if Kylie left him.
Don't even put that shit
I'm
in
sure
the air.
people are thinking about it. I'm not wishing that upon him at all. But that would be the ultimate thing. That would be the ultimate thing. And it's like, oh my God, like if she's not fucking with him anymore. But honestly, the fact that they're together, if they stay together, to me would probably be like one of the things that most assures that he will be in this world.
And it's crazy that you just work so hard and put in all this time, and within a fucking second, your fucking career is in shit. Like I don't like this shit though. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I said, it's not fair for them to be stopping everything, and like you said, to be put on hold is fucked up even more. Like if you gonna drop me, all right, I understand that shit. You take your stands and shit, but to say, oh, whatever, like they waiting, they trying to play it safe and put this shit out, this shit ain't right.
This is a thought experiment that I had last night. Let's say that this situation was different. Let's say that Travis Scott headlined Coachella and that there just so happened to be a stampede and 10 people died in the audience for Coachella. I don't think he'd be canceled at all because everybody would look at it and they'd say, okay, who are we gonna blame? We're gonna blame Coachella. Like how much involvement could Travis Scott really have had? We're going to blame Coachella as organizers. Travis Scott was just performing, etc. That would make sense. I think Travis Scott had probably exactly as much involvement with the staff and the coordination and the crowd control at Astroworld as he would have had performing at Coachella, which is to say essentially none. So I don't think anybody really can make that good of an argument that Travis Scott is really at fault here. It's just the association. It's just the fact that this happened at his show, that it's easy to imagine it basically being his fault. I mean, just the association is making the brands run for the hills. And I mean, like, think about the Ariana Grande thing. I don't think any brands dropped her or wanted to work with her less because it was obviously out of her control. I think that this situation was like pretty close to being as out of his control as the Ariana Grande situation, but the optics are just so bad that brands are just running.
What I've seen, in the weeks since this shit happened, they've shown, I don't know if it's proven yet though, but they said it was a design flaw on one of the sides. Like that was a safety hazard already right there. But ultimately, I blame the people in them fucking crowds, bro. Like you can't, like, the having human decency, bro. You should have that when you go anywhere and shit like that. And the fact that people can be trampled and you if somebody's on a fucking floor or some shit like that, I'm pretty sure you would fucking feel them and shit, but people didn't give a fuck. They were acting dumb as hell. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely you could look at individuals as bad actors in this whole thing, but also there had to have been like structural concerns in terms of the infrastructure of the whole event, because you just haven't seen this really at other concerts, at other festivals. And I mean, there's tons of festivals, hundreds of festivals that are essentially probably close to this size, etc. And probably plenty of them have just as aggressive crowds. I mean, all those metal shows I went to for all those years, festivals and stuff. I mean, yeah, you'd hear about people dying here and there from heat exhaustion or drugs or whatever, and it's all bad. But I mean, 10 people dead is a kind of different level. I mean, I honestly think if 2 people had died, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because 2 people is like, that could be an accident. 10 all of a sudden starts to seem like this was a real, I don't know.
It's such a fucked up position though. It's like you can't ignore that death count. Like something went terribly wrong and shit too. But I also want to see more companies. Like, I respect Netflix for sticking up for Dave Chappelle, even though they got backlash and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I know as far as them doing business going forward, it's like you gotta fuck with people like that believe in you and shy away from you once something happens and shit.
I mean, I honestly think that at some point Travis Scott's going to put out an album and make a comeback, and that a huge percentage of his fans are going to still love him. I don't know if he'll ever reach like the commercial heights necessarily that he was at before all this, but I think even if the brands are slow to come back, at some point, I think I just don't see the fans turning their back on him. But I mean, if you don't get the full support of Spotify and the labels and all this other shit, who knows what that could turn into. YouTube, do us a favor, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back real soon. Appreciate y'all. Harry Potter.